Welcome to a very special session here at CIS 2025. Today we're going to be celebrating in this room the accomplishments of an amazing cohort who have found themselves here for their Hoike with the Guam Green Growth Kupu Corps. Sounded like a train in here. That was very nice. Really quickly, of course, we'd like to say thank you to everybody for joining in this celebration with us. We're going to be getting through some amazing presentations from our members here. All a part of, as I said, the culmination of this entire program forum. Some of our members who are currently on a panel here today have been with us for the full year. Some of them different stints and different time periods with their amazing host agencies. We're going to learn a lot about what they've had the opportunity to experience and more importantly, what they've had the opportunity to learn and stuff that's going to help them move forward in this green economy. So we're super excited for that. But before we begin with that, I'd like to ask everybody to please rise for our official blessing, our bendisyon, led by Mr. Joseph Certeza.
Megamasi Hanzu for allowing myself and also Francesca Dioro to acknowledge this special event, especially for you individuals. The chant that we're going to recite is called Taze Night Samarlan. It talks about traveling along the ocean in your canoe and experiencing rough waters. But when you travel that canoe, it's all about how do you prepare for that travel? How do you prepare for that journey? When we sing this chant, it talks about the preparation, gathering the bingat leaves to wrap around the house to acknowledge that a journey is about to happen, gathering the food and gathering the manha so that when you go on the journey, you have sustenance to continue that journey and to thrive and survive that journey. Then the last verse is talking about the mindset and the spirit that is needed to embark on this journey. You guys are graduating, you guys are continuing your journey after Kupu, doing something better for yourselves, but not only that, for our islands. So sign up Masi to you folks, and this chant is to honor the next journey for you both, for you all. Man ha now tagu huzung gita si gita zai nai tu malan nahi nanagui. Man ha now tagu huzung gita si gita zai nai tu malan nahi nanagui. Godi Itali, Zanfang Godi Biga, Oski Azusia, Nui Manatota, Tengwang Isia, Ifina Nenka Nota, Fan Hokani Zugzan Igi Menta Manha. Ta fa ma yingi zantan fa ma hasu na fa ma tanya hamzu afanya lu man ha na sagu huzung gita si gita zai nai su ma lan nahi nanagui. Man ha na tagu huzung gita si gita zai nai tu ma lan nahi nanagui. Sayamasi Toda Hamsu.
Thank you very much, Johi and Francesca and the baby. We've gotten a chance again to get together right in the past and see kind of how these programs benefit the overall goals of not just Guam, but through the CNMI as well, as we do have members from all over the Marianas joining us here today. This next speaker is a strong believer, obviously, and a proponent for sustainability throughout the entire region and the world. Please welcome for his remarks, the director of the University of Guam Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant, a strong partner of Guam Green Growth and Kupu Corps, a steering co-chair, Dr. Austin Shelton.
Afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
Well, congratulations on getting to this point. and finishing up your term as our Guam Green Growth Kupu members. And so I just want to say thank you for all the service that you've been doing for our islands here in the Marianas for our sustainable future. It really matters what you're doing. It really matters that you've taken the time to commit to this, right? You could be doing any job out there, right? And focusing on making money for yourselves, for your families, about getting a paycheck, right? But the one thing that I always, the one thing that I always share that I'm really proud about our team, about all of our Conservation Corps members, and about our team at the Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant, is that these are people who are committed and they are passionate about their island and passionate about the future. And those are the best people to work with. It's something that it goes beyond just having a job, just going on beyond selfish needs. You're doing something that's meaningful, something that truly matters to all of us. And as I've been saying this week, it's really about our future. That's what sustainability is all about. So thank you very much for your commitment. Thank you for being part of this and serving your island, serving your community. And I just want to thank our partners. Hopefully they're watching from Hawaii, and our partners Kupu that really make a lot of these additional opportunities possible. We thank our Guam legislature for investing in the main Conservation Corps, or the original Conservation Corps, and then allowing us to have additional Kupu Corps members, also in partnership with our host sites like the National Park Service and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We need to create these partnerships for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, and that's our other big message for the week. So again, thank you very much, everybody, for being part of this, for your contributions. Congratulations, and thank you all to the mentors and the site hosts that have made this possible for your professional development as well. So just Masi.
Thank you, Dr. Shelton. As we move now on to the next portion of today's festivities, at the onset of their term with us here at Kupu and with the Guam Green Growth Kupu Corps, our members are let know that they will be presenting at the end of their tenure, at the end of their term, on some of the great things that they were able to do and learn throughout their time with our hosts. We're going to get into those right now as we get a closer look at some of the great work, lessons, and things that we'll be able to apply to the rest of our lives as members of our Kupu Corps. Our first presenter here today, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be talking about her experience as not only somebody who's had the chance to work with their host site too, but also as a G3 alumni with our Conservation Corps. I'm so glad to see her in this next chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Alyssa Padilla.
Half a day, magandang hapon, good afternoon. Ako si Elisa Rose Padilla, and I'll be presenting on my G3 Kupu Corps term, which was from March until August of last year, 2024. A little bit about myself before I really get into my term. I'm part of the Filipino-American diaspora. I was born in the States but have no memory of that, and so Guam has really been my home since I was able to, gain consciousness and form memories. And I also want to talk about what led me to the Kupu Conservation Leadership Development Program overall. It really started when I finished my junior year of high school, and I knew I wanted to pursue something environmental, but I didn't know what opportunities were here for me on Guam. And there was this amazing summer program that the governor, is under her initiative, that they allowed high school students to work with different government agencies, nonprofits, and some, private businesses too, to explore the work opportunities. And I was placed with the Guam Department of Agriculture, my first summer I was with the ADS and DAR division, but at the end of that summer internship, I experienced and volunteered at my first tree planting with the forestry division, and that really stuck with me. It was my first time doing something like that. I think that rigorous and doing the hike in and out and planting the trees. But of course I have to highlight the mentors that were at the ADS and DAR division, because there was so much that I learned just in that first summer. And the next summer I came back, I went through the same ADS division, but for the second half of my internship, I requested to be with forestry because of that tree planting experience. It really interested me, and I wanted to know more about what the division did. And that picture in the bottom left corner is me doing the same thing, presenting on my internship, and that is after I just finished high school. And so the next year, like Kyle mentioned, I was in the G3 Conservation Corps, and that was another super broad learning experience for that 5-month term. I have all these pictures with my team, and the weeks that still stuck with me again were the ones with forestry and with grow this time. Still doing forest restoration work, and that topic just stuck with me. And so that brings us to my host site, which was the Guam Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Soil Resources Division. This picture on the right is from my first day at the office with my mentor, PJ St. Nicholas. We talked about what I wanted to learn throughout my term, and those were just the few goals that I wrote down, but of course I was able to experience so much more than that. And so a little bit about the division. Its mission is to protect, conserve, and enhance the island's vegetative environment and to sustain the natural resources that depend on healthy forests. And so there's 4 main programs that the forestry has. That's the Cooperative Fire Protection Program, the Forest Stewardship Program, the Cooperative Forest Health Management Program, and the Urban and Community Forestry Program. And so that is all the programs that carry out their mission. And so I'll start off with, because my term was from March until August, I got a little bit of both seasons, the dry and wet season. So I had the great opportunity of being exposed to wildland fire prevention training and education prevention training, and then a little bit into fire investigation training. So these are just a few pictures from the end of that investigation training. We helped with preparing the training site, so just doing some vegetation removal, and then just some, I got to watch them do some fire suppression, sorry. But of course, I wasn't in it, I was watching from the truck. And there's me, one time, I think we were visiting last year's G3 Conservation Corps when they were with forestry, and I was with the fire program manager. A fire came up, so I was with them. So I ended up like watching them jump into action at a wildfire. That was cool. And they were like, here's the helmet, and here you can tell us the water level in the tank, and that was really like an experience I probably wouldn't have if I wasn't with my host site. Of course, with forestry, towards the rainy season, we did some plantings. I have no, I think, number of how many plantings that I helped and did with them. Some of them were with other volunteers, and others were just a day in the field, and we brought some of the plants from the nursery out. I'll talk about some of the pictures. I think 2 of them were at Oscarao in Baleso, and then these 2 over here were at Corazon y Sangstong Island Grow Power's Dedero Limestone Forest Restoration Project, or Nature Park that they call it. That was when I got to work with more volunteers, and that experience for me is super rewarding because this interest came from just me being a volunteer with forestry. So it kind of came as second nature that my passion aligns with sharing it with other people and trying to get them to have that same passion for it. And then I threw up my number for the data collection that is part of our term. And in my term, I was able to plant, not only outplant, but also help propagate in the nursery 2,906 native species. So that's not including acacia. And for that nursery work, that was most of my time. It was with, shout out Uncle Pat, Uncle Pat, Kulian, another intern that was with Forestry at the time. Her name's Cecilia, through UOG Compass, I think. We did a lot of seed collections, we did cutting collections, and then this middle bottom picture is when we also helped a research fellow through the Navigating Home program collect soil samples in some of the project sites for her research. Yeah. And then I put this because in my grade story for Kupu, a lot of it was just talking about my experience within my term and how a lot of it reflected or mirrored back to my previous experiences with the previous programs that I mentioned. I did a lot of outreach with DeFi program manager at different elementary schools. It was also Smokey Bear's 80th birthday last year, so I helped with that event. And then of course, there's a picture of us with the Girl Scouts. We did an activity for planting EFIT seedlings. And then here's the picture with last year's Conservation Corps. I just want to, again, highlight my time that I was with Uncle Pat and Kulian, because they really taught me a lot when it comes to native species. And I don't know that everyone always likes to hype up that I'm so fast when it comes to pointing out trees in the jungle or even on the sides of the road, but that's really credit to them and them making it a really fun experience for me to learn all of that. And so after my Kupu term, like I said, it was from March to August of last year.
Wow.
There's me. I wish I had a picture in front of Department of Agriculture in 2023, because then it would make sense. But all of that led up to me being with the Department of Agriculture Forestry Division. I was brought into the team to work under the Urban and Community Forestry Program through a nonprofit called Smart Trees Pacific. And I was also brought on to coordinate a volunteer program called the Citizen Forester Program, which will basically be how I got so interested in forestry, is telling people about why we need trees, why native species are important, and teaching them hands-on skills, and hopefully that inspires them to also pursue this work professionally. So thank you guys for listening, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity that I had the past 4 years now, because it really helped me grow as a person and find my place, I guess, on Guam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elisa. Again, to see her growth, right? Awesome. Even if it was growing with the trees. And as soon as she started mentioning forestry, Chief Christine popped in. So she felt the vibe. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, right, not only do we have members from here on Guam, but we also have members from Saipan and the Northern Mariana Islands. I want to invite that group up because they did work together. I believe they're going to present together, right? Okay, come on down. Give it up for us.
Howdy everybody, is at the role. Les Romomoy. We are the Kupu team from CNMI. We're going to be presenting our projects. My name is John Paul Castro.
My name is Joan Tumakani.
My name is David Kirk.
We have one more. His name is Isaiah Torrey, but he's out sick right now, so we're just letting you guys know. So there's two divisions out there. We work at, our host site is American Memorial Park. There's the interp division, and then there's the maintenance division. Me, Dave, and Isaiah is in the maintenance division.
I'm within the interp division.
So we're gonna be talking about the maintenance part right now. Our projects. We did a lot of educational mangrove tours. Our very first year, I was co-workers with Jeder Yoli and Isaiah, and we did a whole mangrove nursery. So right now we were just doing a lot of mangrove tours with the kids from like 17 to probably 7 years old. Please come and check it out. We did a lot of clearing of the old Japanese structures we have at the park, and it's like 155 acres. Correct me, Miss Barbara. Yes, I think it's that. We did a lot of park maintenance, like bush cutting, the mowers, lights in the VC. We do a lot of volunteer events, planting of native species, and removal of invasive species.
So this is some of our duties. Some bush cutting, tree trimming, trash pickup, like along the coast, Micro Beach coastline, meter reading, memorial care, all the World War II memorials, routine maintenance of all our equipment in the shop, like invasive removal, community outreach, like Mr. JP said, educational presentations, all that stuff. In the pictures you can see some of the programs that we do. The picture on the top right, that's like a stream that we have in the park. It's a really cool place because the mangroves are really growing along the sides and they're really thriving. So
It's a man-made wetland that we have at the park, and there's a lot of tongan over there. So that's where we do a lot of invasive species removal. This picture right here, we had a National Public Lands Day. We had like about, I think, 50 volunteers. They came and we started planting, what did we plant? Putang, daoks, and I believe there was one more. It's not too
oh, pandanus.
Pandanus, there you go.
Oh wait.
No way. Send more. We said more.
I can check it.
Okay.
Real quick, technical difficulties, thank you. I can check it.
Yeah. Oh no, I think we still have a couple
There's
more.
a few.
Parents, again, I want to thank you for coming out today to share this graduation of your students.
Thank you guys.
I
Thank you
think
guys.
I
Sir?
Will you be giving out work excuse notes for these?
I'm sorry, sir, not today.
No, that makes sense.
It's not his personal day, but we're glad you guys are here. Please no flash photography when the certificates are being handed out. Thank you.
Cool. So these are some of our highlights at the maintenance division. We do something called Open Outdoors for Kids, and you wanna explain that how it usually goes?
So Open Outdoors for Kids is basically a program tailored to the fourth graders, and we educate them on basically what NPS is and the missions of our park, and just we welcome them. We offer field trips as well, so we take them out to the park and then we put them through a tour of the exhibit and make them watch the park movie, and then I take them birding and we go to the memorials, and then there's one more addition that we added on. I'm not sure if you guys did it while you were with Inter, but we now take them to the NMI Museum so they can learn a little more about their culture and their history. So that's basically what Open Outdoors for Kids is.
Oh, you wanna tell me what the fourth graders get?
The fourth graders?
When they get that, you can go to.
Oh, they also get a 1-year voucher. So for the parks in Open Outdoors for Kids, if you attend, you get this voucher and you can basically go into any national park for free. So some of them is not free, but our park is free. So if you want to go there, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I'll be the first person you see. So please come. But yeah, you get a free voucher, and you can go like Yosemite. You want to visit Yellowstone, Grand Canyon. They're honestly getting into this job. I didn't know that much about national parks, but when I started to learn about it and like all of the beauty that it offers and all of the history that you get to learn about, I really started to love it. So yeah.
That's awesome.
We also did the relocation of light bollards on the pathways to be ADA compliant, just for because there wasn't enough space for the wheelchairs to go rolling along the pathways, so we just moved them. The clearing of invasive species in the wetlands, that one was a really big thing for me because when I first started, we have endangered species, the moorhens. We have the moorhens down there, and they just like chill under the reeds and everything. And we want to make for the open outdoors for kids, we want them to see the moorhens. So we cleaned out. We didn't do the data calculations, but I can probably stand for my team that we did a lot of clearing. I sweated a lot, so I can
You
probably
can see that in the bottom left picture. That's one of the piles. It's like you can see they're taller than us.
We also represented for Kupu in the 4th of July parade. So Kupu is out there, they really know about us. And the clearing of the Japanese structures and pillboxes, bathhouse. I think that part was really important because obviously we want all of the younger generation to know what happened, what's the history back down in the CNMI. So yeah, that's what we did.
You should touch more on the trash bins.
Oh yes, trash bins. Okay, so
We did a really cool project on these trash bins. They're basically made out of, I don't know if you guys ever see those
The metal
bleachers,
bleachers?
those aluminum bleachers, like at the sports games. So we had a couple of those just lying around collecting dust, and our supervisor, John Hogan, he had his idea to make some really nice looking trash bins out of them. So we cut them up and we pulled all of our ideas together. So all of us got different ideas and we just made a blueprint of it, and it turned out looking like that.
The
in
most
top left
beautiful
picture.
trash cans you'll ever see.
We also did some woodworking, like carving the MPS logo. It's really cool. You can't really see it, but it's really detailed.
So
We did
our supervisor's really good with doing all the woodworking, so he just decided to incorporate that.
it's a really good learning experience.
Oh,
The challenges, extreme hot weather, it's humid, man. Rainy seasons and wasp. I can't say much wasp. I had an incident. I was cutting grass and the wasps were they were sitting on top of the sign, and I hit the sign with the bush cutter, and it hit me on the eye. So I started looking crazy running across the field, and it was like a sad. Everybody was enjoying, and then I stopped. I took a breather, and then it came back at me again. So they're really bad. My eye was like really pop.
where's the picture?
I don't know. It's a pretty embarrassing photo, but you can imagine it. Yeah, that's what our challenges is.
All right. Everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Now going into interpretation division. Okay, I'm being timed. So my duties. So some of my duties under interp was to collect the data of the demographics of people who walked in. So if you were like Chinese or Korean, or even if you were local or from Guam, we tracked that data just to see how many visitors and who from where. I did that, and I also did the data entry for it. I was also, when I got into the program, they educated me a lot on birds, like so much. I learned so much about birds, and it's so cool. Like I never thought in a million years that I would enjoy waking up at 4 a.m. to go look at birds, but getting into this job, I did. I also co-led a couple volunteer events, some of them with Kupu, a lot of them with Kupu actually. So we did the mangrove events and native owl planting, and it was really fun because I had that hands-on experience. I also co-led and assisted in educational programs, which included the OOK programs, like I mentioned, also Icons of World War II. And the Icons of World War II programs is basically we bring kids to the park, not kids, like people of all ages. If you want to come, you can come. We educate you on like the icons of World War II, like Haruji Matsue, the Sugar King, Rosie the Riveter. That was one that was very recent that I did. Sadako, and yeah, what's more? I also maintain the visitor center, so the lights are on because of me. The lights are on because of me, the theater's on because of me. I wiped down the display cases, it's spotless, it looks like no glass there. So I also do visitor interactions, my favorite part. I love talking to the visitors like from all over the world. I've met some people from Italy, I've met some people from Germany, Russia, and it's been such an honor getting to know these people and to educate them on the park and just to show them that that little island that they're visiting has so much more to offer, so much history, so much depth, and it's really been an honor. Also, special use permits. I included that too because it is a big part of what I do and it takes up a good portion of my time. Open outdoors for kids. These are just pictures of some of the things that we did. So there's me outside taking the kids birding. Also taking the kids birding, we also give them these checklists and they can just check off the birds that they see. Yeah. Then there's also our in-school visits. So we do go out to schools and we, like I said, we educate them on what the park has to offer, our mission, NPS mission. Icons of World War II, like I mentioned, this is something that I worked on for Sadako. So we painted a little station and it has a bunch of paper cranes. I folded so many cranes that month. I just folded cranes. And then this is the Rosie program that I did. I'm basically showing the Girl Scouts like the poster that I made for Rosie and what it represents, and then they made their own. So all of those beautiful posters are made by our lovely Girl Scouts. And then, like Mr. JP mentioned, we did help out with the 4th of July, but it was to honor the 80th anniversary of peace in the Marianas, and they did a lot of the groundwork, logistics, all of that stuff. I included this because it was the first experience I got with really going in depth with the planning and background of everything. So some of my projects, designing the park logo. So if you're not familiar with the park logo, it's very plain. Sorry, Miss Barbara. It's very plain, and it only honors the American servicemen, I feel like, and I just wanted to include the indigenous culture because that's what American Memorial Park's mission is, to honor the indigenous lives and the American servicemen. So I wanted to represent that in the logo. And then this is me painting our mural. So if you go by the park, you'll see my mural there. And highlights. Some of my highlights was, of course, doing the mural and then participating in invasive species removal. And yeah, that's it. Challenges. These are just some of my challenges. Yeah, okay. Sisos Masi.
Thank you guys very much.
Beautiful. I actually visited the park when I was in Saipan last. You helped me, remember?
Yes.
Me and my children. They don't look like me, but yeah, they're fine. Wonderful. Okay, so we've got our next presenter coming on up to tell us a little bit more about their experience with our Kupu program as we end things up. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Davina Artero, come on down.
Hi, Hafidi everyone. Hafidi Torahamsu, Wahusi Davina Artero. And konnichiwa, watashi wa deminasan-chan. That's for my mom who's watching. And I wanted to talk about my journey during the Kupu Corps. So like I said, my name is Davina Saitortero, and I'm actually a two-term member of the Kupu Corps Conservation Leadership Development Program. And during my two terms, I served at the host site of the University of Guam and Sea Grant and Center for Island Sustainability. And for both terms, my responsibilities included serving with the Island Conservation Lab and the Natural Resource Team, and then the Guam Restoration of Watershed Initiative, which also goes by GROW. And I wanted to talk about a few of my accomplishments that I accomplished during my second term. So I was the coordinator, or not exactly the coordinator, but I coordinated with the mayor's office for a while for the Guam Green Growth Village beautifications, and I successfully planned at least 5 of the village beautifications. And for the GROW team, I also coordinated 3 of the community tree plantings. And with my time with CIS, I did 4 trial runs of the Vitex allopathy experiments, and I also completed 1 native growing guide. It wasn't complete, but I kind of just started it going for them. And now I wanted to talk about my time doing the Guam Green Growth Conservation Village beautification. So the villages that I did coordinate for was Jigo, Dedido, and Tatuka, which was then the location was picked at Tumani, and then Barragata as well in Sinahanya. And my duties consisted of creating roles for the G3 conservations, like having an event lead, a safety lead, a logistics lead, a data collector, and a water and break lead. We created these roles to help have a more successful cleanup. And I also coordinated with the village mayor in the office, and I also designed the event flyers. And now I'll talk about my time with GROW, the Guam Restoration of Watershed Initiative. So our duties consisted of thinning out acacia trees, which is also very important because it creates a environment for us to thin out the invasives and then create a healthy space for us to plant the natives, which is the goal for GROW. And sorry I didn't mention, their host site is Ugam Watershed for now. And I also participated in the community tree planting preps. So we did flagging, drilling, and clearing of the debris, and the other teammates in GROW have also done bush cutting as well. And we also did Typhoon Marwar debris removal, so that allows space for regrowth and just makes the site also safer for us to walk around. I was also taught some arborist knots, and my accomplishments was, like I said, was with the community tree plantings. I also witnessed the aftermath of a wildfire, and I got to experience like how rapid our environment can actually come back. It doesn't take that much long. Like the first site of like regrowth was like only a couple of days. And something that I really enjoyed during my time with them too was our hike down to the Ugam River. It was for us to like establish a water sample route. And now I would like to talk about, and these are just some photos that I took while I was at the Ugam Watershed. So the photo on the upright here, that is actually a Bobophyllum guamanense. And what's unique about this photo, or this natural experience, is that it's not very common for a flower and the fruit to be growing out of the same spike. So that was nice for me to experience and capture. And I enjoyed seeing a bunch of mushrooms that grow on the forest ground. And something that I did notice about Ugam Watershed as well is the Phyllanthus saphadori. Grows kind of very healthy there. Like there's an abundance or like a handful of them that grow down at Guam. And now I would like to talk about the CIS Natural Resource Team, the Island Conservation Lab. So my duties consisted of nursery maintenance, seed collection, and endangered and threatened native species outplanting. And we do our monitoring and vegetation plot surveys. And some of my accomplishments, like I mentioned before, is I collected data for the native grow guide. I conducted Vitex allopathy experiments. And something that I really like to give thanks to CIS was I was able to memorize like the scientific names of our native species, which also then allowed me to like identify them out in nature, because they were really good at teaching me to how to differentiate like the species. Because like for example, like Nizoron and Pagu, the leaf looks the same, and there's like different unique things that you can kind of tell about it. Like they're both heart-shaped, and to somebody that has no experience in identifying plants, like they could easily kind of like look the same to you, but they did a great job in trying to teach me how to memorize to tell them apart. And I also built a seed shot. It was like kind of like a platform for us to like take photos of our seeds and for our plants for like measuring purposes, which will be for the native grow guide. And I also kind of learned how to use a Trimble. And most of the time I spent was at Anderson Air Force Base, so I enjoyed seeing our native skinks on the around the jungle. I like seeing the healthy canopy of the jungle, and if you haven't noticed by now, I love mushrooms, so I thought it was really cool to see this staghorn brideville mushroom. And here are some special moments. So the picture right here, that's me and some of the CIS members, Khan and Kara, in the jungle. We just finished a outplanting, and if you haven't done it before, it's actually not the easiest job. This is the face I made when I finally made it to the peak of Mount Lam Lam. It wasn't easy, but I made it. And on the bottom over there, bottom left, that's when I had the opportunity and the pleasure to take the CIS team to a team bonding at my family property at Arunau. And that's Dr. Els too, shout out to Dr. Els. And the middle bottom picture, that was my last day with CIS, and we went to the field, and afterwards we went on a trail for seed collection. And yeah, I appreciate the time I had with them. And I included this rainbow because it was a very super vibrant photo, and in my faith with God, when you see a rainbow, it's a representation of like the covenant between you and God, and this kind of confirmed what I was thinking of going to do next in my life. So I wanted to say Zeus Ma'asi to the CIS Natural Resource Island Conservation Lab. Thank you for taking me in and taking care of me like I was one of you guys. And I owe it to you guys I owe it all to you guys for being the biologist in the making that I am now. And thank you for the knowledge, patience, and the fun in the jungle. And Dr. Els and Vince, thank you for being the best leaders to serve under. And lastly, thank you to the bond I made with my CIS women. So thank you so much for that and being my mentors. Jesus
Thank you, Davina. We're going to move on to our next presenter now here today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joshua Artuz.
Hi everyone, my name is Joshua Artuz, and I'll be presenting my Kupu Conservation Leadership Development Program presentation. So my main project was the CICAS Micronesca Health Assessment at the Guam National Wildlife Refuge. I did a one-year term from May of last year and until just this March I ended. So that's like a male cone, and then that's a female cone. And just a little bit about the CICAD. So it's Guam's only, so it's also in Chamorro, it's known as Padang, but I'll be referring to it as CICAD. So A little bit about it is it's Guam's only native gymnosperm. Once the most abundant tree in Guam's forest is now facing the greatest decline. The decline is due in part to little to no seedling recruitment. It's an endemic species. It provides food and habitat for native wildlife, enriches soil through nitrogen fixing roots, and it's endangered and threatened by invasive pests such as the cycad scale, cycad blue butterfly, stem borer, and leaf miner. And as you can see here, those white dots are all the scale that are found on the trees. They suck the sap, which weakens the trees, and it ends up declining. So my project. So the project originally, I was supposed to revisit and resurvey 993 cycads that were surveyed back in 2017. But due to them not having tags and GPS issues, we changed up the project. So I had to do an estimated 2,000 trees surveyed for the new baseline data for this project. So using 10-meter wide transects evenly distributed across the refuge, each tree was tagged with aluminum tags and flagged for long-term monitoring. The data was logged in through ArcGIS field maps. And then another phase of my project after I was done doing all the collecting all that data with those trees was I would revisit around 10 to 20 of those trees and pick around like 10 leaflets on each tree and count the male, female, first instar, second instar of the scale to understand their infestation levels. And monitoring the tree's health, insect impact, and ecological changes over time. And this is actually part of a larger project for Guam and Rota to track cycad scale predators and ecosystem shifts. So I had the great opportunity as well to represent the refuge in the cycad working group calls. So we come up with different methodologies on collecting the data. So that was like a great experience for me. And this supports conservation, management planning, and provides baseline data for future research in the refuge. So the data I collected was the diameter at breast height and tree height, assess scale infestation levels, low, medium, or high based on the cycad working group's criteria. I also recorded reproductive status, if it's male or female, and seed status, if it's like dropped or immature. Also, the presence of any pups, if it's under the criteria of 1 feet, shorter than 1 feet. Identify habitat type, record any seedlings found. So a funny story about this is one of the seedlings I found. So we actually found, this is like on the path where we always walk to go to our next transects. And then just one day with the other fellow Kupu member, Matt, I was just asking, I was like, oh, is that a cycad seedling? And then when I looked close, I was like, oh, it really is. And what was funny about that too is after 2 months later, there was another seedling just 2 feet from it. And then, so we also collected any seeds that were found on the trees. And we record dominant plant species in the area, document any insects observed, such as the cycad blue butterfly, stem borer, leaf miner, and note the presence of any epiphytes, which are like the ferns that make it top heavy for the cycad. Also, we record the data on any fallen trees as well. So some of the results. So I tagged, so this project, I was the one leading it, and me and one intern helping me with the flagging and tagging. So I was the one collecting most of the data for it. So I tagged 1,820 cycads micronescas on the refuge, collected 43 cycad seeds during the survey, spotted 10 cycad seedlings in the wild, and now we have around 9 seedlings in our nursery. Average DBH of all those cycads was 20 centimeters, and the average height was 166 inches, and around 1,771 cycads had scale. 984 cycads had high levels of scale, 431 had medium levels of scale, 237 had low levels of scale, and 1,703 had leaf miners, 313 had stem-borne beetles, 49 of them had the cycad blue butterflies. And each orange dot represents each cycad I collected data from and tagged. So most of my work was done on the closed side of refuge that wasn't open to the public, and this is the open side of refuge. So some of the challenges was limited equipment made it hard to find the tagged trees. As I mentioned earlier with the GPS, it was hard to look for all those trees again. And another one was it expanded from the original 993 trees that I first thought the project was going to be to the estimated 2,000 trees. The thick vegetation made it and uneven cliffside terrain slowed progress. So you can see this is some of our transects that we had to deal through. And weather conditions affected the work. So there's only 2 of us. So we start like usually at 6 or 7 and end around like 2 with the surveys. And remote locations had no signal. So in the closed side of the refuge, we had no signal. So we had to go back and get Wi-Fi and then do it offline for our maps to do an offline and then back it up the data. So here, this is actually around one of our transects around 3 to 400 feet up, where we climbed to, and then you can see one of the cycads that we found in that transect. And then here are some of my other experiences. So I did invasive species removal. I helped the other Kupu member Matt with his project. These are some experiences I did with leading and assisting. Nursery management, I collected native plant seeds, outplanting, ungulate fence maintenance. So I helped with creating the ungulate fence for the outplanting sites. Mariana's fruit bat survey dropping, so we could understand the migration patterns of the fruit bat in the refuge. Flatworm surveys to help with understanding the distribution of the flatworms that are affecting our Guam tree snails. Vegetation surveys, green sea turtle nest monitoring, Guam tree snail monitoring, and I also did leading UOG Compass interns on various projects. So I had the great opportunity to train my own Compass intern on the cycad project, also teach him some native plant ID. And also before the end of my term, I had the opportunity to go to Cocos Island to do a brown tree snake blitz. And here's me with a 7-foot snake. And then here's some of the pictures of like the other projects I've done. So that's our invasive vine pit, where we dry out all the vines, the nursery with some of the plants that I planted the aphid. Here, all these orange dots represent the fruit bat poop that are on the aphid. Right here, this is the picture I was telling you about the cycads. So I also made some raised beds to protect it from any ungulates. And here's the other cycad seedling. Here's some of the cycads in the nursery, and then here's for a flatworm survey. So what's next? I'll be graduating with my bachelor's degree in agriculture tropical production next month. And I really want to pursue a career in conservation. This internship really opened my eyes to native plant surveys, outplanting, and invasive species removal. So I really want to do that after. And I'm also considering on getting my master's degree in sustainable agriculture and natural resources. And I just like to thank the U.S. Forest Service Biocontrol of Invasive Forest Pests project for funding this project, and Kupu member Matt for helping me tag the trees and flag them, and the UOG intern Josiah for helping with the tagging and flagging as well, and refuge staff. And then here's like, if you have any questions about the project, you want to contact me. And then here's a QR code for if you want to see updates on the project from the refuge. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Josh. That was awesome. That was a big snake, boy. That was a big snake. Watch out. Okay, we want to continue now, and we will, with our next presenter, ladies and gentlemen. Hold back your tears, please. This is Mr. Lawrence Lizama.
Alright, half a day.
Half a day.
Half a day, Jan Tiro. UOG CNMI. UOG Lawrence Lizama. And I'm Kupu member for UOG Sea Grant and CIS Aquaculture and Aquaponics. So I'll talk a little bit about the work we've done building a lot of aquaponics systems, right? And especially with our sea bass or community backyard aquaponics systems, working with Joshua here, Johnny, and then Uncle Dave in the back too. We installed close to 20 systems at different residential areas. And these also providing fish stock for those systems, which consisted of tilapia. As you can see, again, number of aquaponics systems. We also have the breeder tanks here, which we would use for the red tilapia at the university. And then we had a little experimental tank protocol here for our ostracod problem, which we're still trying to figure out, but getting closer. But the purpose of these systems, of course, is a food resource, right? And that's why we're all here finding solutions for the future, for sustainability, and providing for the community in that way, right? Either fish or even the vegetables that they can grow in these plant trees. And there you can see me holding a neni tilapia on the left. We're transferring them out of the systems. We found these little babies, and we put them in our hatchery system. And then our red tilapia down there from the breeder tank. And we also got to work with fish eggs. You can see that right there. But yeah, monitoring that, making sure the fish are healthy, and of course, all of the waste that the fish produce gets used up by our lettuce, our vegetables, right? And of course, these systems, the fish, the plants need daily maintenance. You can see me there cleaning out the debris from one of our plant trees, which become ostracod breeding grounds. So trying to alleviate or mitigate that. We also have the water quality testing, making sure that our fish have an optimal environment to live in and staying healthy and happy, right? And then you can see me, Johnny, and Uncle Dave there at the Guam Museum. So that's another part, is a lot of this work would go unnoticed without the outreach, right? Without that community aspect. And really getting them involved and understanding why it's so important for this work. Okay, so to conclude, I've gained an immense amount of knowledge during this program. This slideshow cannot fully encapsulate that. The impact that this program holds has reached far beyond just myself. We've been able to influence Imanumku and Ifamaguan to view sustainability not just as something trending or a hot topic, but as something truly beneficial and meaningful, whether as a mindset or a lifestyle that can provide for generations in the same way our ancestors, the original caretakers of these islands, have done before us. We must remember to continue the work we do today so that our Famaguan, our future, can inherit a better environment, a better life, and a better island. Menai undangpulo na si Jos Masi, para si Johnny, para si Josh, para si Uncle Dave, para i Tinenton Mitsu, okay? Si Jos Masi, Sana Masi, Viva Marianas, and Viva Sustainability.
Viva!
And here to take us home, ladies and gentlemen, this is Matthew Reardon.
Alright, hello everyone. My name is Matthew Reardon, and this is my invasive plant removal project. So a little bit about my project and the host site. It was a 900-hour half-term service last year, July to December. And that was at the Guam National Wildlife Refuge. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with the refuge. If you don't know, it is a sanctuary for species that are native and endemic to Guam, like the cycad, as Josh was talking about. So my responsibilities there for the 6-month term was to work with invasive plants. So that's removing some trees, some shrubs, vines, and things like that. And I worked directly under the supervisor there, my supervisor, the biologist Kavika Davis. All right, so first impressions. Yeah, invasive plant removal sometimes is not too fun, but it has to be done, right? And so, as you guys know, in 2023, in the picture on the left, Typhoon Mawar did a lot of damage. And shortly after that, a couple months, that's what it looked like. And it still looks like that today, but we did make a little indent. And so I thought maybe at the end of the 6-month term, all the vines would be removed and everything would be good. Well, shortly we'll see the results. Some of the methods. I'm not from Guam. I've only been here for 2 years, and before I came here, I didn't know one plant here, so I had to learn all the plants that are at the refuge pretty much. So now I probably know 75% of them, 80% of them. There's a lot of plants there. It's about 200 acres, so there's a lot area to cover. And so after being familiarized with all the plants, I could begin the invasive vine removal, and that included surveying the area, finding the areas that were most concerning, which is quite a lot of it, to be honest. And so I would work with some of the other members, the other Kupu members like Josh, some of our volunteers, some of the staff, and we would remove the vines by hand using some tools. And the trees, like Tong and Triphasia trifolia, we can't quite remove them all the way as we're not allowed to dig there due to cultural resources and stuff. So we would cut it as low to the ground and apply herbicide and hope that it wouldn't grow back. And so also, when we remove all the vines, as you guys know, you can't leave them there because they'll just regrow. Again, like most plants grow, they're seeds, so we would put them in a bag and then put them in a vine pit, and shortly after, hopefully burn them. But we're still waiting on that. So as you can see, that is probably hundreds and hundreds of 50-gallon bags of vines just sitting there waiting to be burned. And we would record all the data using ArcGIS field maps, and this is a little picture of it here. So day by day, how did it go? Some days it was invasive plant removal, the vines, and some days it was triphasia removal. These are in different areas on the refuge. You can see here, this is all triphasia trifolia that we were removing. And this side here is mostly vines, that's what those polygons are. And then other times I would assist some other members with their projects, like Josh tagging the cycads. There were other things we would do, collect seeds and plant them in our nursery, but we've been rebuilding the nursery as it was pretty much in pieces from the typhoon. And the importance of these plants in the nursery is actually to outplant in these areas, because now that we've removed all these plants, something needs to go there, right? Otherwise invasives are going to keep coming in and take over. So we are planting a lot of plants right now in the nursery and hoping to fill these areas, and that way the areas that we removed all these plants will thrive again and have more natives. And one thing that I think I forgot to mention in the beginning is that the reason for all these vines, as you see here in the photos, is from the typhoon, which destroyed a lot of the canopy. And that allowed the sunlight to go in, and then the vines just grew like crazy, and now all the native plants are being outcompeted. So you can see here the before and after. And then after, a lot of the native plants actually can breathe, which is what we want. So these are just some before and after photos, and as you can tell, a little bit of work makes a difference, even if it's just a few hours of work. And as you can see, the vines are climbing the coconut, so trees that fall over from strong winds and storms just make it even more difficult. So some of the successes, during my 6 months there, my team and I removed about 43,000 square feet of vines. That is quite a lot. That's 9 football fields, if you can imagine that. We also removed half an acre of triphasia over a couple-week period, but this was only done thanks to all the people that helped out, because it's not a one-man's job. So more volunteers that helped, the better off it was. And going forward, the more people we can get involved, the better the forest will be for future generations to come. But most importantly, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about plants. Learned a lot about the local wildlife here, especially in the refuge, as there's not a lot thanks to brown tree snakes, as everyone knows. So that was one of the great benefits of me being on this project. And there were some struggles, such as the manpower. As I said, we need more volunteers, so the more people that we can have come to the refuge and help out will make a bigger difference. Also, there are the Guam tree snails, Partula radiolata, as you guys might be familiar with. It's endangered, so we need to protect that. And when the vines come in, they are taking over their native plants that they thrive on. So when we remove vines, we need to be careful of them and not hurt them. So if we see them, we leave them, and we work around them. But other than that, the environment's really hot, as some of the other Kupu members said, and spiders can be a problem too. You just have to get used to them, and I've definitely whacked quite a few of them off my face over the last 6 months. And then lastly, if another typhoon comes, yeah, we just need more people to help out and make a bigger impact. And what is next for me? Well, I'm currently working at the refuge still on this next service project, forest restoration, and I'm 4.5 months in on an 11-month project, and that is focusing on a lot more finicky scat transect surveys, vegetation surveys, invasive plant removal, seed collection, more nursery building these tables and protecting them from butterflies, outplanting. These are the raised beds that we just created in the last few months to protect the plants, that way the ungulates can't knock them over. They're tied together with wire to make them stronger. Also trail maintenance, T&E species monitoring, GIS mapping, and much more. And that's a QR code about forest restoration at the refuge if anyone wants to learn about it. And that's it. Because I'm out of time, these are some of the invasive plants. So yeah, thank you guys.
All right. Well, there you go. Let's get a round of applause one more time for all of our presentations. I'd like to ask all of our Kupu core members to please rise.
Good job, guys.
These are your certificates of completion as made at the Guam